Good evening, everybody. Welcome dear judges and also welcome dear viewers. My name is SUTOMO. I come from 27 Junior High School, and today I'll be participating in an English storytelling competition. As you can see from the screen, I think you can already guess the story. If not, the story is actually TOBA, or in English, Lake Toba. Fun fact, right before we start the story, did you know that actually Lake Toba is one of the biggest lakes in the whole entire world? Fun thing, right? Okay, let's start. Once upon a time, there was an orphan named Toba. This guy did absolutely everything by himself. He cooked for himself, he worked by himself, provided himself everything actually. He usually works at the rice field, but sometimes he'd also head over to a river and go fishing for food, or to sell it, of course. One day though, as he was heading to his usual fishing spot, he'd hoped for something big, something better than what he usually gets, okay? He finally heads over there, sits down, and goes over for a seat. After moments and moments of waiting, moments of truth, finally, he felt something big catching his bait, right? He was so excited, like finally, after God knows how long he was waiting, finally he got his wish granted. He started pulling and pulling and pulling as hard as he might. And finally, he got it. He opened his eyes to see what he got, and turns out it was a golden fish. And audience, hear me out. It was not your ordinary golden fish. It wasn't those small ones you find at your usual story. No, it was not. You know what it was? It was at least this big, right, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe that actually? He was so stunning. It was so stunning that you know what? He immediately went back home. He didn't care about all the other fish. He went back to his home to go cook it, all right? Although, he just realized that when he got home, there wasn't any actual firewood, right? So he's kind of disappointed. Oh, okay then. So he placed the fish on the desk, right? And he headed over to get some wood. Right after that, moments and moments back, he went back. He tried to see. At the table, there was not a fish, right? There was not a fish, not a book, not anything like that. You know what it was? Gold. Just absolute golden coins. Just dozens of them. He was shocked, like, what? Where did these come from? Where's my fish? He tried to shrug it off, you know, right? And then he went over to his room. Another big plot twist. You know what he saw? A beautiful, stunningly beautiful woman was just brushing her hair casually, looking at the mirror. He asked, "Who are you?" You know? And then the girl turned back to him. He was even more in love with her amazingly stunning appearance. Ladies and gentlemen, just imagine, you're just casually going back to your house, you see some girl, some beautiful girl, brushing his hair, just admiring, right? You'd be shocked too, you'd be absolutely in love, right? Finally, the girl stood back up and told him, "I am actually the fish that you caught. I was actually cursed by the gods, but now that you've caught me, I am finally turned back to my normal and stunningly amazing appearance." Ladies and gentlemen, you know, he actually was just stunned. He was stunned. He was like, oh, all right then. He was accepting every single moment in that situation. He couldn't even say a single comment. But you know what? The girl actually just broke the silence. It was like, all right then, do you want me to cook for you? I mean, you've helped me like a lot right here, right? He was like, okay then. Moments later, he finally ate her cooking. Goodness, can you just believe it? It was the most amazing, just the most amazing dish he's ever eaten, right? And his mind, he was just like, God, imagine if she was like my wife, right? It'd be the most amazing miracle in my whole life. And you know what? Fortunately, and somehow, the girl can read his mind. How? Probably his facial expression, because he does not have a poker face. He was like, okay then, if you want, I can be your wife, but under one condition. He was like, absolutely, anything at all. What's the condition? The girl glanced at him with pure generosity and was like, if you want to marry me, you have to keep me one promise. Never, and I mean never, tell anyone about my origin or where I even came from. Promise? He was like, okay, easy enough. Ah. And then all of a sudden, moments later, days later, of course, they got married. They lived happily ever after. That's not the end though. One day, apparently they have a son. Well, guess what his name was? Samosir. He grew healthy, he grew strong, he grew handsome, anything you desire in a son, except for his attitude. He was lazy, all he did was play along, and he didn't even want to help his mother. Like, goodness, can you believe that? Like, okay, imagine. You're just trying to go up to your son being like, hey, can you help me out and just bring this lunch to your father? And he's just like, no, I don't want to do that. That's just absolutely horrendous. Right, gentlemen? Okay. So back to the point. One day, Samuel's mother, aka the fish, of course, nobody saw that though, told his son, hey, can you please bring this to your father? Of course he didn't want to, but somehow at some point, they don't actually specify, but Samuel finally agreed and went over to bring the lunch to his father. That's not it though. For some reason, in the middle of this way, he was like, no, I'm not gonna genuinely do this. I'm gonna go ahead and eat his food. Why? Because I'm hungry and my feelings are totally more important than his. Of course it's not, but So no, he did not eat half, he did more. Like at least he left a bit, right? But in a bit, you mean like just the fish's skull. Can you imagine that? Ew. Moments later, like Toba's just waiting and waiting and waiting, like, where's my food? I haven't eaten all day at all, right? So son finally comes up to his father like, Dad, here's your lunch, even though I do not genuinely want to give it to you. He was like, okay, finally. Son didn't leave yet. What took you just so long? He opened up the thing and was like, what? What is this? Son, what is this? Why is there only a skull inside my lunchbox? He was like, oh, I got kind of carried away and ate all your food. Sorry? Sorry? No? And then he just slapped his son. Can you imagine that? Good. He was like, how could you? All my work and this is what I get repaid with? How could you? Curse you, you child of a son. Fish. How could you? The son just ran back home, crying, just absolutely sobbing, calling for his mother. Mother, mother, look at what my father did to me. The bruise was all over his face. It was just absolutely blue. He threw all his hatred towards his son's face and just lapped the absolute dang out of it. Can you imagine that? Cruel. He was like, mother, mother, father said I'm just a son of a fish. Can you imagine that? What does that even mean? The mother looked at him with a stunned face. Son, if you must immediately go hiking. Just do not turn back and get up before it's too late. He completely agreed and went up running to the heights. All of a sudden, there was a big smash, just absolute water filling up the whole surface. It was just filling the whole village, the whole place, and there looked like it was just gonna be a whole lake, right? And remember, Lake Toba. And then all of a sudden, as he was heading up, his mother went up and just turned into a fish again. Of course, Toba, who was still on the rice field, was still in complete anger. All of a sudden, saw the water, was like, what is this? What is this? He didn't have any time to run, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't have any time. All he did was accept fate and eventually drowned. Of course, you're like, oh, then what happened next? I mean, not necessarily a lot of things happened right after that. Let's just say not too much detail. And then all after that, the whole surface was flooded, absolutely flooded. And that's when it was turned to Lake Toba. Why Toba, you ask? Well, guess who drowned? Toba. And then not only that, actually there was an island named after his son. Alan Sam was here. Actually, there's not really much you can learn from this, only like one or two things. First of all, don't marry a fish. Do not marry a fish. Okay, or at least like any animal at this situation. Just kidding. Okay, first of all, you gotta learn how to freaking control your anger. Okay? Control your emotions, either it's sadness or anything. Do not splurt out any bad words or anything like that. You get the point, just is. And second of all, keep a promise, okay? Once you do a promise, you gotta keep it. And do not be like TOBA, or else you'll drown, or something like that. Drown in humility, maybe? I don't know. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, that is all for today. Thank you for your time. I hope you have an amazing day, and thank you.